Friday. Happy to be
Yes.
here and happy to see my good sister, Dr. Andrea Boyles.
All
Good morning.
right. Good morning. And likewise, always a pleasure being with you, brother.
All right, good to see you here.
Yes,
I like what
yes.
you're wearing too.
Oh, thank
You know,
you.
for those of you on radio, you can't see it, but it's a very colorful dashiki. It's not exactly pink or red. What would that color be?
Well, I think it's maybe a combination or a shade lighter than red.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
it
sure. Now
is.
you're going to make me
Yeah,
look this
well, that's
up
all
because
right. Yeah,
that's what I
right.
do. Now I'll be thinking about it and
well,
have to look it up.
well, just know
Yeah.
I like her African connection
Oh, well, thank you.
there.
Thank you. I try to let it shine through,
yeah.
you know?
All right, all right. And we got Jared on the other side of the glass, getting us going, keeping us connected with you, WBOK family of listeners. And if you got somewhere to be at 7:15, you got about 13 minutes. So you're probably in decent shape. Of course, in New Orleans, it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get some places. So if you need to be there at 7:15, you better get going. But please take your time, as we always like to do when we get going. We like to let you know a little bit of what we saw on the way in terms of the weather. And right now, it's about 79 degrees out there, partly sunny, partly cloudy. And it looks like it's going to be that way throughout much of the day. But don't be fooled by that 79 degrees, because it's soon, like within an hour or so, going to pop up to 80 and 81, 82, 83. It's going to be in the mid 80s by mid morning, if not earlier. And then it's going to the high 80s. And we're hitting 90, and we're going even higher than that. So don't be fooled by the partly cloudy. It's not going to be enough to hide that sunshine and avoid that heat. So we got a hot one ahead, a humid one ahead, and limited precipitation. How was your ride?
Oh, it was wonderful. I didn't have to deal with traffic or anything.
Yeah,
So,
I felt like it was a holiday. It's like, where is everybody?
yeah. It was relatively smooth. But you know, it's a good morning anytime you're above ground
Hey, hey, hey.
and walking and able to talk and have the a sound mind and all those things. So I feel very blessed, as
Well,
do I know many of our listeners.
absolutely, absolutely. And once again, we like to remind those of you all who just tuning in or haven't tuned in for a while that yes, we are on the radio at WBOK 12:30 a.m. and you can get us on the radio with your twist of the dial or your slide of the slider. But you can also catch us on the WBOK 12:30 website, and you can watch us and listen because we stream on WBOK's YouTube channel and WBOK's Facebook page. And when we get it going, we sometimes stream on Instagram as well. So we're looking forward to having you with us this morning for the Good Morning Show. And we've got a lot of things coming along today. And, one of the things that we'll certainly be looking at is what's up with the Attorney General.
Mm.
Mm. I mean, it's been a daily thing, and it's continuing to be a daily thing. And so now the Attorney General has told my colleague John Zimmerman at the Times Picayune she's lost trust in New Orleans officials. That's
Well,
kind of deep.
well, not really,
Okay.
because there's a trend
Mm-hmm.
where, and I think we've talked about this or touched on it a little bit here and there throughout the week. But there's been a trend across the nation with cities, predominantly black democratic cities, um, in battle with the state
Hmm.
at the state level. And so I think it's par for the course. It's unfortunate that this is the climate, but I am not shocked. And New Orleans and this whole dynamic that's playing out, whether it is with the attorney general or whether it is with the governor, it is again one example of numerous examples. And in some of those instances, in other places, there's even been a state takeover. Like the state has taken over, police departments and all sorts of things. So and also, very similar to New Orleans, have
Hmm.
rolled back seats in elections and challenged them in
Yeah,
different
that's a,
ways,
yeah.
and that have been contrary, to the people. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But the point is that
Okay.
yes, I'm fine. Thank you. The point is that there's been there's this trend, there's a pattern in recent years and more, directly that is happening and playing out currently across a lot of different places and it is unfortunate and it is also the reason this ongoing fuel from one extreme to the other across cities and so forth. It is also a reason people remain apathetic when it comes to the political process. And so, on one hand, we hear an elected official saying that they have lost confidence, but it's interesting to me when we consider confidence, the confidence of the people who are going to or needing to be at the ballot box, the
Mhm.
confidence of the people, in terms of how do they feel, how do constituents feel watching these different circumstances play out day in and day out, despite the fact that their focus is on the cost of gas, despite the fact that their focus is on what is the quality and what's happening with the school systems when their focus is on, what are they going to eat today or tomorrow? Or what about, housing and, the transients or what have you, people who are unhoused and living in our communities? What about, people are thinking about their health care, you know, and whether their health care will be up to par. First of all, can they get it? Do they have it? And if they have it, will it be sufficient for them to receive the care that they need? And what is the confidence in the healthcare system?
Yeah,
And I
I
mean, we
get it.
can run the gamut,
Well,
right?
well, well, yeah, I get it.
Is
I
my
get it.
point.
I get it. I get
Yes.
it. But these are like ongoing things that we have to fight for to keep what we have
And why?
and fight for to get more. And we have to continue that fight. But can't we continue to fight and have some trust in the fight?
Well,
Where
what
can
you
we wait,
go ahead.
hold
All
on.
right.
Where
Because
can
I'm
we
ready. Let's go.
where can we establish the
Excuse me.
trust that we have different points of view? Let's say we agree that we want people to be taken care of. Let's just say fundamentally we want people to be taken care of. But we have vastly different ideas about what that means and who and how. Can I trust you to have your opinion different from mine and we work together to figure out where we can agree to make things better? That kind of trust. Not agreement, but a trust that, wow, you really believe this. I really believe this. And I'm going to trust that you are being faithful to your belief, but that you understand enough to make adjustments as opposed to, I just don't trust you.
Sure. You said a lot there, and I was ready. I was ready probably at the first sentence.
Okay.
But here, so the thing is, and again, to all of you that are tuning in, I see Charles online, Fern, and there will be some others that I know will join us very shortly. I'm glad to be on with Will, serving in my personal capacity. But I will say this: one of the things that resonated of many things that you just said is opinion. And as a researcher, that's part of the problem for me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I am, and the people, the condition of the people can't be rooted in opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of evidence-based data, information, part of which I have been a part of that process, collecting it,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally collecting data so that we can hear from the people and understand holistically what kinds of things work to create a better society. How do we advance our society largely and move it forward in the best interest of humanity, right? And so we collect data. We are very intentional about that. Now, albeit some of it is skewed, we know there's a history of pseudoscience. So I'm not speaking to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking to those of us who are legitimately working so that we can provide information to legislators and all people. And I said legislators particularly because they are the decision makers. We want our decisions, right, about our lives to be rooted in facts, not opinion. And when I say facts, meaning facts is at least to the degree of having enough supporting information that we can use to guide and steer our directions. What happens more often than not, unfortunately, in some of these circumstances, is that that's not what's happening. It is oftentimes decisions being made that are just purely rooted in economic interest, not necessarily in evidence based or guided by evidence based information.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, if you decide, it is like it's like a doctor, right? Going contrary to what the results and findings show. You can't then expect a positive prognosis. And so the fact that we have these ongoing issues, right, in and of itself is troubling. We are incredibly intelligent enough to send people to the moon. Is that right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Sure.
we figured that out,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We figured out how to operate and navigate space in more ways than one. It is unreasonable for us to conclude that we are not intelligent enough to figure out how to navigate Earth, the actual planet that we live on, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so, with that said, again, these are ongoing issues. And the fact that they continue, elected official after elected official, or year after year, decade after decade, especially in ways that always seem to show up disparaging for black and brown people or people who are poor, those kinds of things. The same people, the people who are historically not having power in the same sense as others or as the decision makers in and of themselves, is troubling. And it is in that space that people are just tired. Now, I say all of this not to suggest or encourage people not participating in the political process. We should absolutely do so, right? And I am also not having an argument about one side versus the other, although there is, again, based on evidence, cases to be made about who supports and who aligns themselves directly with the interests of the people who are least likely to see success or experience some measure of comfort, some measure of hope in their everyday. So we can also track that, right, historically. But I guess the point that I'm making is that it's exhausting, and for those of us who tune in and have the wherewithal to be able to sort of sift through all the words and sift through all the actions from one person to the next, one issue to the next. There are a number of us who are overwhelmed with our everyday. moment by moment, are just trying to survive. And at some point, you want people to literally not be fighting, right?
I
And
got
to
it.
make decisions that actually work for you, not politicize and exploit you. And so here we are.
I got it.
All
But
right.
I want to find ways where more often we can have trust. Doesn't mean we don't have disagreement.
Yes.
Okay. But I want to find more times that we can have trust. And that can be most difficult where people are difficult, where people are ugly, where people are not listening, where people are vindictive. But where's the plane where we can agree to disagree, and not just disagree, but work to make things better? Because when there is a broken trust, a complete loss of trust, it takes way longer for that to heal and move forward. If ever, if ever, and you are so right that our people have experienced so much disappointment, pain, frustration, that, yeah, we have good reason to say, I ain't so sure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yes.
I guess the optimist in me wants to see where can we find those slimmers of hope and widen our net of people and things and organizations that we can trust. And part of it is to trust them to continue to fight. Not that they always win.
Yeah.
Not that they always win.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to take a break.
All right.
And
We'll
when we
get
come
back to
back,
it. Yeah.
absolutely. And we're going to have more of this conversation with my colleague, John Zimmerman, who yesterday had a one-on-one interview with the Attorney General, Liz Murray. So nobody else had that interview, so we're going to get some inside info about what that was like and what's on her mind, because I haven't talked to her, and I guess most of you haven't talked to her, and we see clips, but he had a chance to talk to her and not just listen at a news conference, but to ask her questions. So I can't wait to hear what that was like.
Yes.
All right, it's 7:19 a.m., and I am Will Sutton here with the fabulous Dr. Andrea Boyles. And when we come back after the break, we are going to be talking about National Make a Will Month with our friends from Stone Pigment. So that'll be coming up next. So if you don't have one, you might want to listen. If you have one, let me tell you, all wills are not the same. So you might want to pay attention. All right, we're going to break. And Andrea, what is that talk line number in case anybody's going to want to call?
Yes, you may call into 504-582-9422. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you all.
This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kubel, and here's a look for you at your Thursday morning headlines. Tropical Storm Bertha is back in the Gulf, barreling toward Texas after bringing rain and strong winds to southeast Louisiana. This morning, the Rosenwald Recreation Center will close as a shelter at 8 a.m. It'll then resume normal operations and be available as a cooling center. In other news this morning, criminal charges against Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill are dropped. Now, she and Governor Jeff Landry are taking aim at New Orleans officials, calling the indictment politically motivated. Murrill also says she would like to see a federal investigation. She specifically accused Orleans Parish DA Jason Williams of playing a role. Murrill and Landry say they believe the case was dropped to make sure records are kept secret. Now, remember, this all stems from letters that Murrell sent to New Orleans officials about the clerk of court position that a grand jury claimed warranted felony intimidation charges. And that is a look for you at your headlines.
Attention, WBOK listeners.
WBOK.
Are you a
But
fan
for
of the
today,
station and
everyone,
want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead. Take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Greetings, New Orleans. It's Jamar McNeely, CEO of Inspire NOLA. Join us for our annual Inspire the City Backpack Giveaway on Saturday, July 25th, beginning at 10 a.m. at McDonough 35 Senior High School. Students will receive a free backpack filled with school supplies while supplies last. We also have limited laptops, gas cards, and more. Be there Saturday, July 25th, 10 a.m. at McDonough 35 Senior High School. Let's inspire the city.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Point.
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Ugh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace.
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Tropical storm Bertha out of our area, but will make landfall in Texas later today. We are going to see a few scattered showers throughout the day. Some of those could be on the heavier side. Also, gusty conditions, 25 to 45 miles per hour. Minor coastal flooding is still expected. Highs for today, 89 to 92 degrees. And then for tonight, few leftover showers, but most coming to an end. Lows 75 to 79. Then the heat returns as we get to Friday on into the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
am Will Sutton.
And I am Dr. Andrea Boyles.
And very happy to have you with us. Lively conversation.
Yes, and we will continue.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, because we got John Zimmerman coming up, and he had a one-on-one with the Attorney General of these 64 parishes. So that's going to be an interesting conversation with John to
Sure.
see what they talked about.
Sure.
It's 7:26 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 7:30, I hope you are well on your way. Maybe pull in the parking lot, maybe in the break room before you get over to your desk or your cubicle, or maybe you are in the car getting out, putting on that construction cap, and moving on. Right now, we're going to jump into conversation with Katie DeBlanc, who is from Stone Pickman. Good morning, Katie. How are you?
Good morning, Will. Doing very well. How are you?
Fabulous, fabulous. Have you been to WBOK?
I have not. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we are happy to have you. Thank you for spending some time with us. We have folks who come on a somewhat regular basis. We have some folks who come on a periodic basis. And we have some people who are new to our WBOK listening audience. So we like to make sure that people know a little bit about who folks are. So here's my question. Who's your mama and them? Come on now.
That
Who
is
your
the
people?
quintessential New Orleans question. I was born and raised in New Orleans. DeBlanc mom family, dad's family, all from here. So I grew up born and raised in New Orleans, went to school in New Orleans, Sacred Heart for high school all the way through. Yeah. And then I stayed local for college. So I went to Tulane for undergrad as well. And then I went to Loyola Law School and, haven't left the city since.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for choosing us. I tell that to people who are transplants all the time, but I like to remind people there are people like me, born here, and careers take you elsewhere. So you do have a choice. I mean, you have a choice to stay, you have a choice to leave. So thank you for choosing us. I appreciate it. So what is National Make a Will Month? Why do we even have National Will Make a Month? Wills are like, throughout the year, aren't they?
Yeah, but we don't talk about them throughout the year.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of people don't get around to the question until it's possibly too late. And so by having National Will Month in August, particularly, August is a big time that people are taking vacations. They want to have their plans settled before then. It's nice to have a designated time for awareness, because that's a big component of this, just having awareness on how to make a plan, where you can go to make a plan, and having that information accessible.
So the month of August is a time to put extra attention on something that we should be thinking about across the year or across the decades, and that kind of thing. Well, one of the things that comes up is, in families that I'm familiar with, like my own, is does everybody need a will? I mean, is it kind of based on age or income, or I don't have a lot of money, I don't have real estate. Do I really need a will?
Right. There's many considerations there, but I would advise that yes, everyone should have a will in place. At the very least, it's how you want to divest your assets, how you want to give your assets. You get to pick who you want to leave what to. Otherwise, if you don't, the state has a hierarchy of who it goes to. And so if you want to make sure that you are leaving assets to intended beneficiaries, you want to be writing a will. And then, there's so many issues if you don't have one, right? So if you don't have one and it goes to an unintended beneficiary, that could cause several problems down the road in the probate process. You could have fights among family members. So it's really good to get it all settled beforehand.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you can choose to have a will and make choices, or you can choose not to have a will and let somebody else choose.
Exactly.
All right, Dr. Boyles.
So, yes, thank you all for being here this morning. This is so important because I sort of add to the question that Will had a minute ago. How do you encourage, or what would you say to someone who may feel like, I don't own real estate, I don't really have much money, I'm just making it day to day. How do you make the case to them that they too should have a will?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like there's a misconception too that like you have to be of a certain threshold or a certain age, like you mentioned, Will, to have a will, but that's not necessarily the case. You have assets. These are your hard-earned assets that you've made over the course of your lifetime. Don't you want to have control over who that goes to? And so anybody speaking, that's an important consideration that they would want to address, right? And so that would be my main focus for those people. There is, with respect to certain income levels, there are benefits to tax planning. If you're above a certain level, the federal government tax, it's very high level, thankfully doesn't apply to most of us, but if you are above a certain level, you're taxed at a 40% rate. And so there's tax planning you can do there. But, for the everyday person, my main takeaway message is you get to control who you want certain assets to go to. If you've got a particular piece of property that's very sentimental to you, you want to make it known that it goes to a certain person, it's good to have there. Also, if you have minor children, in your will, you can name a tutor. It's called a guardian in other states, but in the event that both parents pass away, you get to decide who takes care of your children. Otherwise, the law, somebody else will step in and appoint someone for you.
So do most people have a will?
Not most people, unfortunately.
Do a lot of people have wills?
A good bit, yeah. So it's very important to do the planning beforehand, like I said, because after the fact, if you don't, the probate process is the process of opening up a succession. It's taking the will that you've drafted to the court and having the court put the beneficiaries into possession. That process can become costly if you don't have a will, because someone has to step in and appoint someone to administer your estate. Someone has to find who the designated legatees would be under the law. And so if you don't have one, it also could increase the costs in the probate process.
Okay, so let's say somebody is 23 years old,
Mm-hmm.
had a good high school career, good family, went to college, they're on their first job, moved out from mom and dad, paying their own rent, paying their taxes, going to work, saving a little money. Not a lot, but, only 2% a month. But, they got a little savings going. Why do they need a will? They don't have much. They're just getting going.
Right. So at that point, if they're not married, they have separate property. And so under the law, it would go to certain default people. And so descendants, if they do have a spouse, it's way, way, way under the list. And so if you don't want it going to someone that you're not intending for it to go to, that's really in those circumstances for a younger individual when you would want to write a will.
Okay, let's creep on into relationship status. My wife and I have been married for more than 40 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
We weren't always married. There was a stretch where our parents didn't like our living relationship.
Oh.
And that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's much more of that these days. And sometimes people are not living together as roommates. And they become more than friends. Or maybe they were more than friends before they moved in. And it's not just for a few months or for a year. It's for years. And they're not married. Do they need wills that consider the other person? Or just themselves?
Well, so there's a couple of aspects to this. So just a general point, because I think people do get this wrong or they do have questions. When you're drafting a will, each person drafts their own separate will. So even if you're married, you can't do a joint will. It's totally separate wills. And so in that situation where you're unmarried, you've got someone who maybe you're in a relationship with, they could benefit from having a will. Because if they want to leave something to that person, that would be the mechanism by which you should do it. Otherwise, the law would not take into consideration that person.
Okay, Dr. Boy.
I'm probably getting ahead of myself,
Mhm.
but I'm wondering if you could talk about like how people, just go ahead and maybe briefly explain how people would accomplish a will, especially someone who may be thinking, I need a lawyer, right?
Right.
I don't have a clue to how, first off, I don't have much. And second off, I certainly don't even have enough to secure someone to walk me through this.
Yeah, there's plenty of options, plenty of lawyers based on your particular needs, the complexity of your state. Generally speaking, it's like I didn't come from a family of lawyers, so if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't know who to ask, except for by referrals of friends and family members. And so I would really reach out to the people that you know first to see, have you dealt with a lawyer before? Who do you recommend? That would be my first go-to. But if you don't have that, there's plenty of resources available. Even on Google, you can look up different organizations or different law firms. And choosing a lawyer for your estate planning is it's a highly personal matter. And lawyers are people too. They have different personalities, just like all people have different personalities. And what works for one person might not work for another. And so for something so intimate like estate planning that involves family dynamics and potential issues with family dynamics, it's good to have someone that you feel comfortable with.
So in healthcare, people sometimes change doctors. It's not that the doctor isn't expert. It's not that they're not really good. It's not the connection the
Not the right
patient
fit.
is looking for. And so they change doctors. And sometimes they like their doctor. They want to stick with their doctor, but something comes up and it's like, I think I want another opinion. They don't want to change doctors. They just want another. Does that happen with wills?
It does happen. And what also happens quite frequently is people will change lawyers. We have clients that have been in another firm or they switch over. So it totally happens. And it's not something that you should fear. Lawyers know that it happens. And so don't let that stop you from initially going in to see someone.
So it's a professional understanding that things
Yes.
change, so it's your feelings aren't hurt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We won't. No, it's nothing personal.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah.
You all, I would like for the audience to be able to call in. You all, if you have questions about wills and that sort of thing, please call us at 504-582-9422 while we are having this conversation, because I think that there are a lot of questions that people just generally have. A lot of times when we hear about wills and that kind of thing being discussed, it's typically with folks who may be affluent, that do have overwhelming, economic interest, at least or assets. Let me say that, assets, but, for regular everyday people who are just trying to figure it out, from one thing to the next or one issue to the next, may not necessarily know how to make this happen.
Right.
Or what's legitimate. Because we have a lot of online options as well, too, right?
Yeah.
For handling some of these legal dynamics.
Right.
And so while we do have a call.
Okay.
I see a call.
All
So
right. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun. You're on with Will Sutton, Dr. Boyles, and we've got Katie DeBlanc here from Stone Pigment. What's your comment, question? You got a question? Reverend Calhoun, we can't hear you. Okay, so we've lost Reverend Calhoun, Jarrett. So we're gonna have to move on. All right. So when we look at wills, one of the things that comes up is, do I need a will? Do I need a trust? What's the difference? Do most people need wills? Isn't it the rich people that need trust?
That is also a very big misconception. So trust, you often hear like with respect to, high levels of wealth, but that's not necessarily the case. Trust, depending on what you want to do with them, they don't have to be that complex. They're relatively straightforward to include in a will. And the trust is really nice. I'll give you a particular example. If you're a young family, you have young children. If you don't include a trust or some protective mechanism in your will, your kids could receive these assets. If God forbid anything happened to you, they could receive these assets outright. Or technically, their tutor, guardian would receive it outright. But in that circumstance, you don't have a lot of control or ability to put some safeguards in place to be able to manage the assets for the children who may be too young at that point to manage assets on their own. And so trusts are very nice from that standpoint. Just being able to have someone in place that is going to help manage the assets, help grow them. And you don't have to worry about, your kids getting it all outright and then maybe, if they're young and making bad decisions, at least with a trustee in place, who the trustee is the legal owner of the trust assets, they can help kind of distribute those assets over time so that the children don't waste.
Yes. Maybe they're not fully mature.
Exactly.
Okay. We see in the movies and we hear about the cocktail napkin will or the note that somebody jotted in a notebook and they find it under the couch pillow and those kinds of things, or in the bedside drawer that nobody ever opened and there was a note from 30 years ago. And are those wills?
If they comply with the certain form requirements that Louisiana has, they could be, yes.
What?
Yeah, so Louisiana has two forms of wills. We've got what's called an holographic will. So that is something that's entirely handwritten, dated, and signed by the person that makes the will. That is valid as to form. Now, we can get into the details, though, about why I wouldn't particularly recommend that, because if it's valid as to form, that doesn't necessarily mean that what you write in there is, going to exactly work out how you want it to. Language in will drafting is very important. And so if you don't use the right language sometimes, or if there's a potential ambiguity, that could cause fights later on too. So could be valid as to form, but, the contents of it might be problematic.
All right, and sometimes with those kinds of things, of course, then let's say it's a cocktail napkin. So somebody has a spill. So the last part of my name is kind of smudged a bit. Is that okay, or does that invalidate the whole thing? Or let's say it's the piece of notebook paper and it's in a drawer. Nobody's touched it for like 30 years, and it's just darkened. If it's somewhat readable, is only part of it okay, or the whole thing okay? I mean,
at that point, that would really be a determination by the court. And so, if something's so illegible or damaged or destroyed, that's not going to stand up. But if there's ways to ascertain the date and the signature to sufficient ability, a court would make that determination. So.
Okay. All right. Reverend Calhoun, looks like you're back. You have a question about wills.
I have several. The executor, should they be paid? Should the executor hire an attorney? If so, what is the average cost of an executor? The cost of an attorney to work as I want to say not the curator, but as to work with the executor of a will.
All right, Lord's blessing. Go ahead.
Well, just those two questions, because the expense of a will, I think, is key. How much does probate court get out of a will? Oh, I know she was earlier saying about depending on how much is there, but just trying to figure out just what it would cost to actually execute the will.
All right. Lord's blessings, sir. Have a
All
great
right,
day.
well.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, there's a couple of things to unpack
Yeah.
here. So I think what you were asking first was about executor compensation. So just a couple of points. The executor is the person who you name in your will, who would be the person to administer your estate. So after the person who wrote the will passes away, a succession is opened. And if they have a will, the will is presented to the court, and the executor is the one administering the succession, bringing, managing the succession assets while they're held in limbo until you get the legatees placed into possession. So executor's compensation, how much should an executor be compensated? So an important consideration here is an executor a legatee or a beneficiary in the will? Because if they're a beneficiary in the will and they're receiving a certain amount already, you might not want to compensate your executor because executor compensation is taxable. It's taxable income, whereas a gift to a beneficiary in a will, that's not income tax. And so from that standpoint, it might be better to waive executor compensation for an executor who is also a beneficiary. But if they're not, there's several ways you can do it. You can pay them a lump sum, and you would specify this in your will, how you want to do it. You could pay a lump sum. You could say something that we commonly say is, my executor will be compensated at a reasonable hourly rate comparable to business paralegals in the New Orleans area. And so you could do hourly rate, straightforward, or you don't have to say anything at all. And the law has default provisions on compensation.
So that hourly rate might change. So if you did it 10 years ago, obviously the rate may have changed
It could,
10 years
yes.
later, and so it's a different hourly rate at that time.
Yeah.
So, okay. But executors can be beneficiaries, and beneficiaries can be executors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. We've got another call. Good morning, James. You're on Will Sutton, Dr. Boyles, and Katie.
Good morning. So I have two questions real quick. First question is trust costs. What does that typically run a family? And I have two wills. My wife has a will and I have a will. How do we, lack of a better term, how do we infuse our wills to create the trust, the family trust? I'm gonna hang up and listen.
Okay. So you have two wills, and you want to merge the two wills into a trust, or you want to create a trust? Okay, he's gone. So, all right. I was just trying to seek clarification, but
Did you catch? I had a little bit of trouble hearing the
okay.
first question.
He has a will, and his wife has a will. And it seems they want to create a trust. So they've had wills, individual wills, but they want to create a trust. How do they do that?
It depends if you want to make this trust during a lifetime, if that's what he's kind of getting at, or if they want to redo their wills to create trust in their will. And so, there's many different types of trust. So you can make one during life, or you could have a trust in your will. And we commonly hear what's called revocable trust, which I think is what he might be getting at.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you'll hear, get a revocable trust. In a lot of other states, the revocable trust, which is, during your lifetime, you transfer assets into this trust. And in a lot of other states, people do this to avoid probate, because once it's in that trust, it doesn't go through the probate process. Other states have very costly, very expensive, and time-consuming probate process. Louisiana actually has a very streamlined, not costly probate process. There's not a lot of court fees involved. And so probate in Louisiana is not as scary as it is in other states. And so there's less of a reason to use a revocable trust as opposed to a will in Louisiana. So I think that's what he's getting at. it's certainly a thing that people will hear. We'll have clients that come to us. Well, shouldn't I just put all my assets in a trust? Why even do the will? But, it's not something that we should be afraid of here.
All right, so a bunch of us have relatives that are around the block, around the corner, in the next neighborhood, that kind of thing. And then we have the relatives that are in a state over, 3 states over, 2,000 miles away. How much does it make a difference if they're in another state? You want them to be included in the will, but it's like, oh my God, they don't live in extra special legal Louisiana.
If they're just a beneficiary, it's not a problem at all. The one thing I will say about that is I've had wills before that come to me where we have no contact information, or maybe at that point nobody knows where the certain person lives. And so this is part of the importance of planning beforehand too. You draft your will, but maybe you have, and I would encourage, a separate book on the side to be stored with your personal items. Just having information on, okay, these are the current addresses as of today of these beneficiaries, because that helps a lot when you get to the succession.
So stop some of the runaround.
Yes.
That can happen. So, and you're already dealing with grief. So,
Exactly.
Well, I would like to go back to the probate conversation. Will you speak to that a little more? I feel like, and not just me, I think others listening may feel the same, that when you hear probate, it feels like, or sounds like, or seems like a place where all of the legal stuff go concerning you or potentially your family and gets lost. What is happening in that?
Yeah, so probate is the process of opening up a succession. And so once someone passes away, whether they have a will or not, there should be a succession that is open. And should be open, relatively soon after death, because if you wait, and this does happen, people do wait, but that can cause issues. It's best to get it opened up as soon as you can. So the succession process is with the court. If you have a will, the will will be presented to the court, the original will. If you don't have a will, an interested person would petition the court to, place the proper people in possession of. But if you do have a will, which is what we're focusing on here, the original will would be presented to the court. You would file some pleadings to open the succession. And depending on the complexity of the estate, if it's not too complicated, if it's relatively straightforward, the probate process potentially does not take long at all. And as I've said before, there's not a lot of fees involved in Louisiana. And so it's not something, it sounds like a very amorphous, what is this exactly? There's a court involved, that's kind of scary. But it's really not a daunting process, especially if you have a more simpler estate. It can happen pretty fast.
And then lastly, you said if you have a will versus if you do not. So for many, it seems contradicting in some ways. Like if you have a will, if there's a will, why would probate even be a thing, right? And so just in case, will you clarify the distinction, like why it might come into play even if a person has a will?
Right. So the will, we've got all these form requirements. A court basically, once the will is presented, they'll bless the will. They'll say, okay, this is confirmed order. They'll appoint the executor to manage the assets. The whole aspect of probate is really getting, at the ultimate end of it, you get a legally binding judgment saying this person is entitled to this asset. And so probate is important because that's how you legally transfer your title and your ownership to your assets.
Okay, so before you get out of here, gotta ask, okay.
All right.
The online wills, the free public library wills, the AI wills.
Right.
Good, bad, cautions.
As a whole, I would not recommend them.
Any of them?
No.
Okay.
And there's several reasons why. So as I've mentioned before, Louisiana has very particular form requirements for a will. And if you don't do it correctly, if there's something wrong with the form requirement, the whole will could be invalidated.
Ooh.
So you might do all of this planning, work up all to this point, and then only to have it invalidated. LegalZoom has been around for a while. AI, it's only getting worse because AI is so prevalent. It's so accessible. It's free to many of us. Again, AI can miss things. I've seen AI get things wrong. And so for form, that's an issue. But then even if, theoretically, AI drafted a will that was perfect as to form, how the will is drafted could also cause issues because, AI, nothing can substitute the judgment of a lawyer or human judgment. And so if something's drafted slightly ambiguously with an AI will, that could cause a lot of problems. And then even aside from all of that, what I'll say about AI is that it can be a great tool for kind of orienting yourself to the estate planning process. So, for example, some attorneys they'll send out like a little sheet to clients before an initial meeting, just asking you like your biographical information, your financial information, to get all of that information before the initial meeting. Some attorneys wait until after the initial meeting to start collecting information. AI can be a helpful tool in maybe orienting you, like, okay, what questions, like what type of material should I bring? If your attorney hasn't told you, there's probably a reason for that. They probably just want to meet with you first and then they'll go into detail. But if you are curious, it can be helpful for that. The one thing that I would be concerned about with AI is that, again, it's not always correct. And you could have situations where people are typing something into AI and, well, AI's saying this, but my lawyer's saying that. And so it could potentially put a strain on the attorney-lawyer relationship when you don't want that to happen, especially in, a field like estate planning where it's very confidential, it's very intimate, it's you're talking about relationships. You don't want to get to a place where you're distrusting or, any attorney, if you bring them something that AI has said, any attorney should be happy to discuss and say, okay, this is what AI says, but here's why that's not the case.
Okay. Woo! A lot of good information. Thank you for clarifying so many things, especially on wills and trust. And if I'm understanding correctly, everyone needs a will. Mm-hmm. Don't wait till you're old. You need a will even if you're married. You need your own will. The other person needs their will. If you're in I'll call it a cooperative living arrangement, you each need a will. You can include the other, but you have to do that. And executors and beneficiaries can be the same, but not necessarily so. Mm-hmm. How's my summary?
That's fantastic.
Okay. All right. All right. So if people want to learn more about this and be in touch with your law firm or you in particular, how can they do that?
You can reach out to me. So I, again, at Stone Pigment Law Firm in New Orleans. We're located downtown. My email is kdeblanc, so my first initial, my last name at stonepigment.com. Number is 504-593-0939. You can search us on Google. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn. Just give us a call.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie, for bringing all this knowledge and information and taking some calls for clarification. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's very good, very good. Really appreciate it. It's 8 a.m. I am Will Sutton here with Dr. Andrea Boyles, and we're going to have more news and information for you coming up in this next hour. You're going to find out what is happening in and around New Orleans with New Orleans and Company. And yes, we got to find out some more about what is going on with the Attorney General, Liz Murrow, the governor, and the city of New Orleans. That'll all be coming up after the break. What's that talk line number, Dr. Boyles?
Yes, please do call in to 504-582-9422. We look forward to hearing your thoughts.
All right, this is WBOK 12:30 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Real issues, real talk, real solutions. Miss an episode of The Reality Check? You can catch every episode anytime. Search WBOK Media on your favorite podcast app to tap the bold commentary, real-time reactions, and powerful perspectives from the people and leaders shaping our city. Download, share, and rate it 5 stars because the real ones always stay informed.
Throughout July, Louisiana residents get half off general admission to the National World War II Museum. Take advantage of 50% off and beat the summer heat at New Orleans' #1 attraction. Don't wait. Plan your visit at nationalww2museum.org.
This invitation goes out to all of us unworthy sinners who's been saved by the grace of God, where you and I are only made worthy by the blood of the Lamb and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We're FIJTC, Faithers in Jesus the Christ. My name is Mr. Rocky. You can tune in to WBOK 12:30 a.m. Sunday mornings from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Hope to see you there.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-571-9955. That's 800-571-9955. 800-571-9955.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Queens community gathered to honor Army Sergeant Angel Rampersad, one of the American service members killed in the conflict with Iran. Rampersad's mother remembers her 28-year-old daughter.
She fought for this country and she died for this country, and I am a mother that is highly proud of her.
She is remembered as a hero with plans underway to rename her block in Ozone Park in her honor. Several people were injured after a police pursuit that began in Indiana ended in a crash on Chicago's far south side. Authorities say 4 people, including 2 children, were hurt when the fleeing SUV collided with another vehicle. And health officials say more than 11,000 cases of cyclosporiasis have been reported nationwide, with 41 states affected. The CDC continues monitoring the outbreak while investigators traced one multi-state cluster to contaminated iceberg lettuce. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK. Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am Will Sutton, and here with me is Dr. Andrea Boyles.
Good morning.
Good conversation about wills.
Yes, very important.
Always,
there were questions. I'm sorry. There were questions even that were good for me
Absolutely.
To benefit from not just the audience, but things that I've had and wondered about,
Yeah.
with losing loved ones and so forth. So I appreciated it, and I'm sure that those listening in also appreciated them.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump into some conversation right now with our friend Mark Romick, Senior Advisor at New Orleans and Company, to talk with us about some things that are going on in and around New Orleans. Good morning, Mark. You're on with Will Sutton and Dr. Boyles. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you all very much for having me on this morning. All is good here. I'm at the Caesars Superdome this morning.
Wow. What you doing over there, man?
Well, we have the world's top action sport athletes competing in New Orleans with the X Games. This is the first ever MoonPay X Games Championship at the Caesars Superdome, and it'll take place beginning today. Doors open at 3, and it'll go all through the weekend. It's an exciting opportunity to see these wonderful athletes compete in BMX, Motorsport X, that's the motorbike, and then skateboard. Now, I'm not an athlete that could get on any one of those three types of things, but it is exciting. We've got to have competitors as young as 11-year-old skateboarder Mia Kretzer, 16-year-old skateboard phenom and number 1 draft pick Chloe Covell. We've got an X Game gold medalist Ryan Williams, and we've got 2 Louisianians participating. Brock Rayford from Destrehan, Louisiana, and Wyatt Fontenot from Opelousas. The event will feature 18 medal competitions across, as I said, skateboard, BMX, and Moto X disciplines.
Wow. Well, one of the things I heard that's happening with this, it's a 3-day event, right?
That's right.
Okay. One of the things I heard is that you all in X Games are getting kids involved from different organizations. So some of them may be aware, some of them may not be aware of X Games.
We have a great program. It's X Games in the community. There was a ticketing initiative where complimentary tickets were provided to a number of targeted nonprofit organizations across key Louisiana markets besides New Orleans. So they were spreading tickets around Shreveport, Lake Charles, Monroe, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. And organizations like Boys and Girls Clubs, Special Olympics, NORD, Son of a Saint, and 18th Ward have all participated. And again, this is a wholesome, family-oriented event. There is a free component as well. There's what we call X Fest out at Champion Square. That's a free event that'll occur today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And then tickets are very reasonable. If you haven't gotten one through the complimentary ticket program, you can get those at gnosports.com. But you think about it, it's going to be a hot weekend. You want to be inside. There's nothing cooler than the Caesars Superdome, and the action begins today at 3, and tomorrow the doors open at 11, and Sunday the doors open at 10. And then there's music at night. We have music over at the Smoothie King Center each night, beginning at around 8:45, for folks who want to continue the partying into the evening. They've got Metro Boomin and JID on Friday night tonight, and then we've got Subtronics and Bunt, BUNT, on Saturday. And again, it's a great thing that New Orleans was able to bring here, and we worked with State Department of Economic Development, the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, State of Louisiana, and of course New Orleans and Company. And once again, it sort of underlines the fact that New Orleans is really a city that's built to host events like this and support our men and women who work in the service industry, because the important thing is that we're getting some economic activity with this here in the community, particularly in the summer when we need it the most.
Well, it sounds like if somebody says, I don't have anything to do, this is a whole weekend, just with the X Games of things to do, day and night.
That's right. It's an exciting time, and we're just so proud that they chose New Orleans, and it's been a couple of years in the making for us to get them here. And again, they're using the entire Superdome campus, and it'll build on the legacy that we have for all these major large-scale events that we're able to do here, because the city is compact in a way that you can easily get around. And there's other things happening this weekend too. The Louisiana Restaurant Association has its annual showcase at the convention center, where you've got the industry from around the state coming together to look at the latest and greatest ways of running kitchens and serving and through hospitality and the latest products, and so that's always exciting. That you'll see a lot of the food industry folks from around the state that registered for that. And then you got this competition called Bocuse d'Or happening once again. That's the international culinary competition. Again, underscoring New Orleans as a culinary capital, and so you've got some of the best chefs from around North America competing to be in the finals, which will occur in Lyon, France, next year, and that will also occur at the convention center. And this is after a lot of work by Walt Leger and Alice Glenn and the team at New Orleans and Company to attract the culinary experts from around the world to come into the city of New Orleans and have their events here, so that we can, show off not only what we do here locally with cuisine, but that we have all this talent as well.
Okay, so Tales of the Cocktail has been going on, and I guess it's close to winding down, but those who have missed it so far, what have they missed, and how can they catch up with this?
Well, yeah, it's headquartered over at the Ritz-Carlton, but there are events around the city and various venues, and it's again another way for the bar industry, bartenders, and the beverage industry to come together on a global way here in New Orleans to trade best practices, to compete, to show off, and to share. There's a lot of educational components to this as well. It started earlier this week, and it's been going on for a number of years. And again, it underscores the whole culinary hospitality component of our community. Some people would talk about, when you go up to a bar, where some of the most intimate conversations you're going to have is with a bartender, and it starts with that one-on-one and seeing that magic made at the bar. And there's just something called like the spark of that competition, and that conversation happens right there. And we're happy to celebrate that once again with these experts from around the world coming into the city of New Orleans. Once again, here we are in the middle of the summer, and we've got all these major international events happening in New Orleans. Not many cities can say that they can do that.
Well, Tales of the Cocktail sounds quite interesting. And of course, there are a number of places that think they are special with cocktails, but I think New Orleans is extra special with cocktails. And the fact that you have so many folks that are not just mixing gin and tonic, but extra special cocktails around
extra
here.
Special types of drinks. I had Matt Ray. I was speaking to Matt Ray earlier this week. He was over at the Sazerac House, and he was talking about the history of the cocktail and how it really was founded here in the city of New Orleans, and how that museum or attraction, the Sazerac House, you can visit that, and it'll take you through the history of the cocktail in a very interactive way. So if the listening audience has not yet been to the Sazerac House right there at the corner of Magazine and Canal Street, I recommend that highly.
Okay.
So thank you again for joining us this morning. I have questions about access. Again, just circling back to even the X Games. How do our listeners participate in some of these events? So, for example, with the X Games, I know that there's a ticketing initiative that allows for youth or individuals connected to the skate and BMX community or otherwise. If folks listening are not directly attached to those communities, how will they be able to participate? If you could share that, access the ticketing for me.
Good question. Thank you very much. I would first point people to the website, gnosports.com, just for general information about the schedule and so forth. And if anyone in the listening audience has contact with NORD or Son of a Saint or 18th Ward or the Boys and Girls Club, it's reach out to those organizations as well. Again, there's a free component where you'll see some activity happening out at Champion Square. That's open to the general public. You don't have to pay to get into that area. and that will be happening today and tomorrow and Sunday. And then, of course, the tickets, whether they're complimentary or you're paying admission, to get you inside the Caesar Superdome to see the activity that occurs there. But I would point them to NORD, Son of a Saint, 18th Ward Boys and Girls Club as a start. This had been going on for a number of weeks as we led up to it. I don't think it's too late for them to reach out to those organizations.
And then also, thank you, also for Tales of the Cocktail, will you reiterate how our listeners can participate in that as well?
Yes, ma'am. Again, the Ritz-Carlton is sort of the hubbub or center of activity. That is where you can get most of that information. Tales of the Cocktail. You can also go to the New Orleans and Company, neworleans.com website for more information about Tales of the Cocktail and any of these other events that we discussed just now. I do want to also mention, Doctor, the event next weekend. We're coming up to White Linen Night, presented by Fidelity Bank. That will be next Saturday. I'm sure y'all are very familiar with that. It's a great way to celebrate our artistic community along Julia Street and the Contemporary Arts Center, the Ogden Museum of Southern Art, and just the myriad number of art galleries. And it comes alive, and it's a sea of folks having a great time with food and beverage. And again, I point you to another way that we can kick off the summer in a strong way. And there's culinary coming down the line. You've got the museum month in August, where you have access to all these museums. If you have a membership in one museum, you have a free access into more than 30 museums around the city.
And then we have a question actually from one of our listeners. Can you tell me if there are any plans to bring back AAU or USA Track and Field Nationals to New Orleans?
The Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation is always looking for opportunities to do that. I remember, and y'all, I think I may be the oldest one on this phone call.
I'm not sure, Mark.
I remember the 1992.
We'll compare later.
I will. Oh, Will, you're such a young man. But I remember the 1992 Olympic trials that occurred at Tad Gormley, and that sort of set the bar for us on what we could do, particularly in the summer months. And I know the Sports Foundation is always looking for the opportunities to bring in AAU and other types of track and field events. So I would say stay tuned for more. They are always active, looking for what fits in New Orleans calendar and what the bid specifications look like. But we've certainly got a great organization here to help bring something like that in. And then the All-State Sugar Bowl Committee has done a number of events outside of their annual football classic to support amateur athletics. So I would say, yes, there's probably more of that on the horizon.
Okay, so I want to make sure that we hear about the Pastry World Cup. I mean, I know we're special, Mark, and we just talk about cocktails and people not realizing our New Orleans connection to cocktail, and we got Tales of the Cocktails, and then we have Pastry World Cup. What's that about?
Yes. So that's part of the Bocuse d'Or competition that will be occurring this weekend. We've got 7 or 8 teams from North America that are going to be, it's a juried competition. They're going to be creating something that sort of is themed around our nation, and it'll be judged. And then the finalists will then attend the finals in Lyon, France, where they'll compete against chefs from around the world. And again, we're the only city that has hosted this in North America, and they did it in 2024. And they loved what they saw here, and they loved the support that they received and the atmosphere of our culinary world here. And so they'll be competing at the convention center. The opportunity for us to bring this back in years to come, I think, is very high. And once again, it just underscores what we've been able to do here over the past several decades with raising the level of the culinary excellence that is New Orleans is known for.
Wonderful. So July and August are tough months, but we have a lot going on. And there are some other things that'll be coming up soon, including Tipitina's Free Fridays and the Satchmo Summerfest. What are some of the other things that people might want to be aware of? And we're going to have to take a break and move from this soon, but I just want to make sure people get a few things on their calendar, Mark.
Yeah, and I would say, Will, go to neworleans.com. We've got a complete set of events for the rest of August and into the fall. The Saints season, we've got our first preseason game on August the 15th on a Saturday.
All right.
Jacksonville. So we are going to be ready.
All righty. So lots going on in New Orleans. Thank you, Mark, for joining us from New Orleans and Company. Appreciate it. We'll compare ages later. I'm Will Sutton here with Dr. Boyles. Lord's blessings, Mark. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Y'all too. Bye-bye.
All right. So, folks, we got a lot of good information about some things going on, especially X Games. 3 days, 3 nights, lots going on. Tales of Cocktail. Opportunities for community tickets, and then some inexpensive tickets as well. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with some representatives from the New Orleans Health Department. And don't forget, we're going to be having a conversation with John Zimmerman about his interview with Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill. It is 8:22 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:25. You got about 3 minutes. So not too long to get there. And if you got to be there at 8:30, you got a little bit more time. But please, 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 if you are driving anywhere, take care of your personal business, your personal care at home, not in the car, and be a safe driver. Not one of the crazy folks, and watch out for our babies and kiddos. They might not be going to school, but they're going to summer camp, Nord playground, swimming pool, and might even be playing in your driveway. So watch out for them. Make sure they're safe, you're safe, and get where you're going. It's 8:23 a.m. I'm Will Sutton. Dr. Boyles, what's that talk line number?
Yes, it's 504-582-9422. Please call in, you all. We love hearing from you.
This is WBOK 1230 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kubel, and here's a look for you at your Thursday morning headlines. Tropical Storm Bertha is back in the Gulf, barreling toward Texas after bringing rain and strong winds to southeast Louisiana. This morning, the Rosenwald Recreation Center will close as a shelter at 8 a.m. It'll then resume normal operations and be available as a cooling center. In other news this morning, criminal charges against Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill are dropped. Now, she and Governor Jeff Landry are taking aim at New Orleans officials, calling the indictment politically motivated. Murrill also says she would like to see a federal investigation. She specifically accused Orleans Parish DA Jason Williams of playing a role. Murrill and Landry say they believe the case was dropped to make sure records are kept secret. Now remember, this all stems from letters that Murrill sent to New Orleans officials about the clerk of court position that a grand jury claimed warranted felony intimidation charges. And that is a look for you at your headlines.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 1230 a.m. See you on Saturday.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom, has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Tropical storm Bertha out of our area, but will make landfall in Texas later today. We are going to see a few scattered showers throughout the day. Some of those could be on the heavier side. Also, gusty conditions, 25 to 45 miles per hour. Minor coastal flooding is still expected. Highs for today, 89 to 92 degrees. And then for tonight, few leftover showers, but most coming to an end. Lows 75 to 79. Then the heat returns as we get to Friday on into the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton here with Dr. Boros. Good conversation just now, and we're going to move into a new conversation. And we're going to be talking with our friends from the New Orleans Health Department. We've got Meredith McInturf, am I saying that right? Returning to WBOK, and she's the manager of the Public Health Emergencies Environmental Health Unit. Woo!
I know it's a word. Mouthful.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Mouthful.
It's a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
And we also have with us Declan. Am I saying that? Declan?
Declan.
Declan.
Yep.
Declan. Okay. And help me with the last name.
Samuelson.
Okay. Declan Samuelson.
Declan Samuelson.
Declan.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to continue to practice while you're here. Declan Samuelson. Okay. Declan.
Declan. Yes.
Help me. Declan Samuelson.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, all right, very good, very good. And he is connected with the Youth Climate Action Fund, and we're going to talk about that. But first of all, since you've been here before, people may remember your connection with the New Orleans Health Department, and you've been to the studio and all. Yep. But just say a little bit about your role with the health department, just as a reminder.
Sure.
So that people know that.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. Our team really works on the emergency preparedness side of public health, and so working very closely with all of our healthcare partners, our emergency management partners around the city, but also focusing on environmental health problems that are impacting our neighborhoods around the city. So we respond to 311 requests about environmental concerns. We're out there doing innovative projects like the Youth Climate Action Fund that are bringing youth into the conversation of how to solve environmental problems, and also looking forward to any new things that are on our horizon.
All right, Declan, this is your first time at WBOK.
Yes, that is correct.
And also your first time at the Good Morning Show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So people are being introduced to you here. So here's your opportunity to answer this question.
Okay.
Who's your mama and them?
Who's my parents?
Yeah, right. And where you from? Give us a little background.
Okay, so moved to New Orleans about 5 years ago with my family. Moved here with my mom, Christy Samuelson, and my dad, Eric Samuelson. They both do a lot of work that helps serve the community, and they have raised me to try to give back to whatever I can.
Okay, all right. So where'd you move from?
Moved here from San Francisco.
Wow.
Yes.
Big move.
Yes.
Move. Another wonderful city, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You enjoying New Orleans?
Love it. It's great.
Okay. All right. So, Meredith, talk about what's going on with young folks like this young man.
Yeah, Declan.
Why he's here.
Yeah, so we are in our third round of the Youth Climate Action Fund, which is it's a partnership between the City of New Orleans and the Greater New Orleans Foundation, and it's funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies. To allow youth ages 15 to 24 to create their own project that relates to the city's climate action plan. So youth get the opportunity to be mentored by city leaders, by community leaders, and by others to basically create their own project and play it out over the course of a little under a year to make a small impact in our community, and hopefully it'll grow from there.
Great. So how'd you get connected to this? You haven't been in New Orleans that long, and you're already contributing. How'd you find out about this, and how are you connected?
Well, actually, my mom helped me find out about it. So, one of my best friends, his mom works for Grace at the Green Light, nonprofit organization. And from there, when my mom found out about the program, she reached out to the director over at Grace, my friend's mom, and told him about let's do this crazy idea and let's apply for a grant and let's see if we can help and bring any kind of recycling or composting to you guys' organization.
Wow.
Well, that's good. And I was actually going to ask, like, how would people get involved? We have listeners that I'm sure that exist or attached to various organizations or even individually who may have interest specifically for youth and otherwise to be a part or create their own programs too. So how might they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. We did send out a quick blast to a lot of the environmental organizations that we work with and also some of the youth serving organizations, really targeting in on our high school science teachers and folks that are seeing, people with project ideas. But it's certainly open to any organization that's interested in partnering. So if there's an organization out there who would want more information, reach out to OYF at NOLA.gov, Office of Youth and Families at NOLA.gov, or go to NOLA.gov / Youth Climate Fund. We can include that elsewhere. But it's a great way to see our orientation that we had on Wednesday is posted online, the full recording. And it has all of the examples of previous projects and different testimonials of, youth like Declan and their different projects that they've had over the last 3 rounds of funding.
Yeah, and I was also going to ask for individuals, is that also the contact? And is that a possibility for people who are not necessarily a part of an organization, but are just individually saying, I would like to create, or I have a child or niece that would like to create a project or a program?
Yes, that's the exact same way to get in touch. So it's particularly focused on having 2 youth leads who are between the ages of 15 to 24. So it's kind of a range. And the 2 youth leads are required to partner with a fiscal sponsor, which is usually a 501c3, but that could look a lot of different ways. It could be a religious organization, it could be a school, it could be any sort of nonprofit in the city. So it's pretty broad. And so we would highly encourage them to submit an application. Our application window opened on Monday, so July 20th, and is open until September 10th. So it's a pretty long window to start thinking about that project and start creating.
Okay.
So, Declan, what have you seen done already, and what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, when I participated in this last year, the main things that we achieved working with Grace, first we bought 1,800 reusable water bottles, and that really limited down the use of single water bottles. So we were trying to reduce the plastic waste as much as possible. Then next, they serve over 230 meals a day with so many eggshells. So what we did is we also partnered up with some composting organizations in New Orleans, and we would deliver eggshells to these locations that trying to help with composting. And then finally, Grace has this project already called Hydrate NOLA, where they have water stations around the city. And what we tried to do is we tried to inform clients about these water stations so it would bring like the mission back full circle. In the future, what we hope to do is continuing with Grace's mission and continuing with like giving back to the community of helping to do composting. So like my job right now is to be like here right now, help other people get onto this project and to continue help with that.
So do you think that we have enough young folks thinking about these things? I mean, Meredith, in your role, of course, you have a professional responsibility and not just individually in your department, but you care about this like across the city and I'm sure across the nation and the world, but you're doing your part for our incredible city. But I'm sure that part of what needs to happen is that we have more young people like you caring about these things and actually taking some action. Do we have enough young people doing this?
I think we do. I think there's a lot of people who care about the city of New Orleans, and especially with understanding climate change nowadays who really want to help continue to keep New Orleans alive, which is so important. And things like this, we just need more people to learn about these kinds of programs. And that's something like being here right now informs and gets people to do.
Good. So, as Dr. Burrows said, that there are people who are interested in participating. Can they participate with you, or do they need to find out about the process and pursue a grant for their existing organization, or can they create an organization, or what are the possibilities?
It's a great question. So typically what they're going to do is they're going to create a new youth-led innovative project. So it has to be something that maybe has been done in some way, but partnering with maybe a new group or a new viewpoint on it. So, certainly Declan talked to Grace of the Green Light and how they were using their existing outreach model, but then adding in a new composting feature, which had never been done before. So we're really looking for youth who are seeing a problem in the community, who are partnering alongside of an existing organization. I guess they could create a new organization. There might be some challenges in terms of just start up with that, but definitely, looking to partner organizations together with youth, and then working together with all the different partners at the city. So, there will be different opportunities throughout the time to not only work specifically on their project, but also to meet one another and know how they can help each other with their projects as well. So it's not just that one small team, it's really all the teams that are involved in the youth climate action work working a little bit together.
So Declan, how many folks are you working with right now?
Right now, I'm currently not doing the project.
Okay.
But when I was doing it last year, I worked with 3 friends on this project, but we also worked with a lot more people because we were including organizations and the city was along our side.
All right. So what do you see as next steps for you?
Ooh, that's a great question. For me, I think right now I'm really in the stage of helping recruit right now because I think that is a really important thing because when we get more people on this mission, that's what's going to make that long impact. So being able to help other people, like telling my friends about a program like this is really going to make the difference, I think.
So as you look forward, well, first of all, where are you in school?
I'm at school at NOCA.
Okay. What grade?
11th grade.
And what are you focused on in school?
Visual arts. That is my discipline at school.
All right. So as you think about visual arts and this type of important work, how do you see a connection between visual arts and this work?
Well, actually, I wouldn't say there's much of a connection personally for me in there. Some of my art can reflect the work that I do, but mostly this is a side thing that I do of being able to help out wherever I can.
Okay. All right. And Meredith, what types of things what are some of the other types of things people might hear what Declan's done and think that's what I have we do? Yeah. But
there's
a
lot of
like
different.
There are some other things. So can you tell us about some of the others?
Sure.
So we can get a little bit better idea of some of the others that have been successful grantees.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of them are posted on the website. So if there's something I missed, it's not because I didn't think of it. It's just a wide variety of projects. I will say there was a really interesting sustainable fashion project that was working with Rick Rack. I believe that was last go around. And so trying to upcycle different costumes and outfits that people would want to wear and trying to think about how we can reuse material rather than getting rid of it. There was one I heard about on Wednesday during our orientation that was at the Ogden Museum of Art and working with trash that was pulled out of the Mississippi River to actually create art and to have an exhibition there and just open up the conversation through art about the different things that are in our river that are polluting our waterways and how can we make something beautiful from some of the trash that we see around our city. There are certainly other projects that are focused around stormwater or around growing, different types of food in our community. We've seen all sorts of projects, and so people can get really creative with these. The sky is really the limit, I would say.
All right. So give us a connection between this type of work and the health of us individually and as a community? Because I think
Absolutely.
often people look at this and it's like, that's just those greenies.
Yeah, no,
Well,
it's a good question.
But,
It's a great question. Yeah, I would say a lot of times around the city, we receive a lot of 311 complaints, right, about trash or about things that just look maybe unsettling to people, right? Or, they see problems as we're going into different, human services capacities and just like the gaps in the system, right? And so I think a lot of these projects in some way, shape, or form are targeting those gaps in the existing systems, and it's from a youth perspective. So what I see when I go out day to day, not only in my work capacity, but after hours, is probably different than what Declan sees. And so it's really a good way to engage youth to start showing the city some of those problems, to work with those different departments, not just the health department, but others that their work might impact, and then trying to, move the needle forward. And so that the reason it needs to align with our climate action plan priorities is because that actually usually has a devoted city agency that's attached to that work. And so it's easier for us to then introduce the youth to that maybe city department head or project manager that's working on these problems to integrate that into their work going forward.
So what kind of funds are available? Yeah. I'm just assuming, I'm just going to exaggerate.
Sure.
That we're not talking about $1.5 million of Declan. Here's a lot of money,
For sure.
And let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
But what are the size grants? What are the ranges for these innovative and creative ideas that people might have?
Absolutely. So it's a range between 1,000 is the minimum amount you can apply for, and 5,000 is the max. And so it just depends on the type of project you're proposing and all of that. But it can be anywhere in between those two numbers. And so really what we're looking for in the application is just making sure that, one, that the project is youth-led and that it has 2 youth leaders who are very passionate about that issue, that it has that fiscal sponsor that's committed to helping the youth and working through that grant process, because I know it's a new thing for a lot of 15 to 24-year-olds managing money like that. It has to align with one of the climate action plan priorities. And it just needs to show that it's going to have a difference and that there's a few ways that you can measure that. So I don't know if Declan has a good example of this, but, I saw another project that was just trying to measure, one, their outreach into the community, how many people they were talking to about the problem. Maybe it's how many art pieces were created, how many conversations were, having some sort of measurable impact that, we can talk about throughout. We have monthly check-ins with all of our youth leads with the city team and the youth in the organization. And so it's a really great time to kind of check in on that progress over, I think it's a 7-month period, about 7 or 8 months that they'll be working on this project.
So let me give you a couple of examples and ask if these might work or don't work.
Sure.
So there are a number of churches, faith houses,
Absolutely.
community groups, and they have different ministries or task force and that kind of thing. And they work with youth through their organization or their faith house. And they might have something like a health ministry or a holistic ministry and that kind of thing. And they're always looking for ways to connect youth, because so often with something like that, it's like the adults thinking about taking the blood pressure and stuff.
Right.
If they have youth that they like to get involved, is that an organization or a church that can look at this as a possibility of getting some teens and young people involved with a existing task force or group? Or
Absolutely. I think there's definitely room for that. Definitely faith-based organizations. We would just be looking for, again, something new that they're trying to add. So rather than maintaining an existing program, they might be adding a new idea to that existing task force. But yes, they could definitely use that model and that group that they're working with regularly to apply for this grant.
Okay. So Declan, it's 2026. Based on the work that you have previously done, in 2036, how old will you be?
Ooh, I mean, I'm looking down a lot of different avenues of career ideas.
No. How old will you be?
2036? Okay. 10 years. Okay. Yeah. 26.
Okay. When you're 26, with the work that you've done and the work that needs to be done, what's your desire for how New Orleans will be looking when we get to that point?
I'm hoping it still has a lot of passionate people who want to keep the city upright. People who want to see the city still floating and not following like the Guardian's post of like the city, we should all evacuate. I hope there's still people who are passionate and are going to keep it up.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. Meredith, if people want to find out more about this program or be in touch with the health department, how can they touch base with you? And or is there some place online or social media where they can look?
All of the above. So the best way probably to start off would be our website, nola.gov/youth climate fund is where you'll find all the information about this project. We're also using oyf@nola.gov to centralize all of the email requests, but it also connects to our whole team of folks who are working on this project. So it's a great way to get connected with the health department at large.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it takes a little extra effort to get up, get ready, and get on over to the studio. Appreciate your coming and joining us with our WBOK family of listeners and watchers, because they're on Facebook and on YouTube. Dr. Burrows, what is that talk line number?
Yes, please do call in at 504-582-9422.
All right. Well, as promised, after the break, we're going to talk with my colleague from the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com, John Zimmerman, who had the opportunity to talk with none other than Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill. So we'll find out what that conversation was like right after the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
In nearly 50 years of covering Louisiana's justice system, I have never witnessed the indictment of a sitting state attorney general by an Orleans Parish grand jury or by a grand jury in any other Louisiana parish. That was big news. Then came even bigger news. All of the charges were dropped by the special prosecutor assigned to oversee the case. Former Judge Lori White, the special prosecutor, says she dropped the indictment against State Attorney General Liz Murrill because New Orleans Mayor Helena Moreno and other city officials urged her to do so to ease tensions between the city and state. The mayor offered a peace sign asking Governor Jeff Landry to meet so they could resolve their differences. Landry said no, not until the city gets things in order. Requesting that the AG charges be dropped was another peace sign. Landry still said no, thank you. Landry and Murrill have no interest in being friends with New Orleans leaders. I understand not wanting to be friends with people who you think want you to be put behind bars for 80 years. The circumstances and the players are different, but what we have here is the latest chapter in a long history of the bruising political wars between the state and the city. It's not good for the city or the state. Who knows how this latest drama will play out? What matters is whether this legal grudge match helps citizens who want leaders who will improve their quality of life. Now, this unfortunate drama is damaging our state, our city, our judiciary, and our chances for more economic development. It boils down to this. It's a cartoon with characters bashing each other, and it's not funny. We deserve better. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Step back in time and experience the moments that shaped our world at the National World War II Museum, located in the heart of the Warehouse District in New Orleans. This world-renowned museum brings history to life, telling America's story in the war that changed everything, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. From immersive exhibits to powerful personal stories, this is more than a museum. It's an experience. Plan your visit today at nationalww2museum.org. World War II Museum, where history lives.
Climate Hope NOLA presents this month's climate keyword, adaptation. Climate adaptation means preparing our communities for stronger storms, hotter days, flooding, and rising water. That means planting trees, restoring wetlands, protecting homes, and helping families recover stronger after disasters. In New Orleans, resilience is part of who we are and how we survive. Learn more, stay informed, and take action with Climate Hope NOLA. Visit Team Hope NOLA on Instagram to learn more.
Greetings, New Orleans. It's Jamar McNeely, CEO of Inspire NOLA. Join us for our annual Inspire the City Backpack Giveaway on Saturday, July 25th, beginning at 10 a.m. at McDonough 35 Senior High School. Students will receive a free backpack filled with school supplies while supplies last. We also have limited laptops, gas cards, and more. Be there Saturday, July 25th, 10 a.m. at McDonough 35 Senior High School. Let's inspire the city.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is Will Said. I'm here with Dr. Boris, and we got to get to it momentarily with John Zimmerman, my colleague from Times-Picayune. But before we do that, there was a question from our listeners, and I want to make sure that you address that.
Yes. Yes. Hi. I saw a question earlier this morning asking about city takeovers. I wanted to be clear. The instances that I was speaking of, it's not that entire cities had been taken over by the state government, but there were components that I was speaking to. And so a couple examples that immediately come to mind would be the takeover of the city of St. Louis Police Department by the state of Missouri. So you might want to look that up. Currently, the city of St. Louis is now suing the state as a result of that. Also, you might want to look at Kansas City, also in the state of Missouri, where we saw a takeover, again, a component of the local government being taken from under the mayor and taken over by the state. Other examples of where we see state and federal involvement would be through, ICE, how we have seen, red states and the federal government maneuvering around Democratic or blue cities, so to speak, predominantly black cities, so to speak, pertaining to ICE. And, this whole idea of redistricting, redrawing maps and those kinds of things. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. We don't have a lot of time to get into the other specifics, but there are examples where, again, to be clear, not necessarily that the state has taken the city completely over, but there are components of city governments where we are seeing a trend of red state involvement and red state takeover with just particular components of the city government. And so,
closer to home, and we're going to get to John in a moment. The mayor of Bogalusa is not in charge of Bogalusa right now. And in Jackson, Mississippi, the judges that the people wanted are not in charge of the judicial system. Yeah. So just a little bit closer to home. But you're right.
Yeah. It's Louisiana, but there are other places.
Absolutely.
So it's a trend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good morning, John Zimmerman. You're on with Will Sutton and Dr. Boris. Oh, buddy.
Hey, Will. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, man. Man, y'all have been busy with what's going on with the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, Attorney General Liz Murrow, the mayor of the city of New Orleans, the New Orleans City Council, and others. And yesterday, you had a chance to talk with Attorney General Liz Murrow. So that's separate from any statements that have been issued, a news conference you talked with the AG.
Yeah, we had a long conversation. Yeah,
Tell
it was
us
interesting.
about that.
We all heard from the Attorney General on, Tuesday, and with the governor, really kind of turning up the heat, not down the heat, after Lori White, the special prosecutor, dropped the indictment against her, talking about it's not over. and really calling out city leaders, namely Jason Williams, the district attorney, really sort of, saying that he was behind a lot of it. He started it, and really sort of suggesting that, the grand jury was messed with, or that he had an influence on the grand jury or did some stuff. In that time period, his office recused, around that time period or whenever. So I was interested in knowing more about, why it's not over, what her sort of evidence is, and things of that nature. And we got into it a little bit, and she had some allegations, some of which she's already put in some court filings about, questions about who was in the room or who was in the courtroom when the grand jury returned. Obviously, reporters were not. They were booted out, and one of them was handcuffed. But, there was a minute entry that said someone from the DA's office was in there. And there were some other sort of questions that she had, but nothing like, and I didn't get a sense that there's a smoking gun that, she did say that she's got some evidence that Lori White called up the Supreme Court, Louisiana Supreme Court, right after the indictment, I think, and asked for administrative support or help because, according to Liz Murrow, according to her source or whatever, that the DA's office was no longer helping her, and the implication being that it was helping her at some point or provided some kind of assistance. Lori White denies that. Spoke with her briefly yesterday to get a response from her. But in any case, I think it's pretty clear, if you're a criminal defendant and under an indictment, you tend not to talk to anybody press with, under the advice of your attorney, but it's pretty clear from the interview that, it's personal with Liz Murrow. She's really upset at what transpired with her. She's offended. She wants a federal and state investigation. She thinks it should be a joint investigation. We've heard Governor Landry immediately talking about ordering state police to investigate, and then we heard that Clay Higgins, the Acadiana area congressman, called a couple days after the indictment, sent a letter to the FBI, Kash Patel, requesting investigation. FBI is not saying it's conducting one. That's their usual cannot confirm or deny kind of thing. But Liz Murrow says she's heard that it started up. What it entails, we'll see. But she's trying to get to the bottom of what she thinks there's a bottom of, which is basically that there was some influence or involvement. What she says is, look, at a minimum, Jason Williams and Helena Moreno, Mayor Moreno, sort of agitated the public into thinking that she's a criminal. But that's a big difference between that and tampering with the grand jury or doing things when you're supposed to be recused. And so, we'll see.
All right. Well, we only have another minute.
And then she got into her relationship with the DA a little bit because they have to, their prosecutors work side by side in the courthouse there now. So that's kind of like, the bigger issue is how is this going to affect the justice system and how things work in that building.
Well, we have less than a minute, John, and we're going to have to go make room for the next show. It seems like there were efforts to have peace, to lower the temperature, and it looks like that's just not going to happen. And now we have talk of a special section to focus on Orleans courts again. Is
Possibly,
this going to be
I guess.
going
That's what
on
the governor-
for a while? Is there any end in sight?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's heading. The governor did mention at the news conference that he said there's some people who would like to see it. I don't know how committed he is to that. I guess we're going to find out because it seems to be kind of news every day, as you mentioned at the start on this.
Okay. All right, John, thank you so much. Lord's blessings. Appreciate your making some time for us at WBOK. Have a great day.
Thanks, Will.
All right. Dr. Boris, what a show. What a show. There's some people who've been watching us and listening to us. We're going to have to make room for the front porch, but before we go, who are a couple of those people?
Yes, I want to say thank you to D Best, Jacqueline. I see Sean. I see Alicia, Linda. Again, I'm trying to get through this. You all, Karen. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, Deborah. I see Ermel, Toya, and lastly, Cliff. I think I've gotten everybody.
All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate you. Lord willing, I'll be back here on Monday. You all have a fabulous weekend. But before we go, I ask that you take care of yourself and take care of each other. There's so much going on in the world, as we talked about during this show.
Yes.
We got to fight for what is right, but we can't do it if we are not personally strong and that if we're not helping each other. Make room for the front porch coming up next. Tavis Smiley and then the G-Man with Reality Check. This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.